All right. Hello. Thank you guys for coming out and spending the evening with us. Again, my name is Jessica Metcalfe. I am Turtle Mountain Chippewa, and I am the owner of Beyond Buckskin. Today, I just want to share with you a little bit about why Beyond Buckskin got started, how it expanded, and then some of our challenges and successes. So, Beyond Buckskin was started in 2009. I was in the mix of writing my doctoral dissertation on Native American designers of high fashion. And when you're in academia, the audience for your research is very limited and very small. Oftentimes, it's just one person, and that's your professor, and they might not even actually read your paper. I just remember that this is live streamed. I really need to watch what I say. And I had a huge problem with that because I was finding a lot of really cool things. I was interviewing the designers themselves. They were sharing their stories with me. They were sharing their struggles. They were sharing their successes. And they were even handing over their personal pictures, images, or brochures so that I could be collecting this archive of information about the Native American fashion movement from the 1940s to the present. And I wanted to get this information out to a broader audience, and so I launched a blog. It just made sense to me at the time. And just like Adrian, mine had that awesome black background, white font. So this was my first blog post. It's called The Path, From There to Here and Into the Future. And it was published in August of 2009. And in this first post, I write about how I came to this topic of Native fashion and my hopes and dreams for the blog. And I must say that those hopes and dreams have been surpassed many times over. I really just could not imagine the amazing response to a website like this. And I wanted to show you guys this slide because it shows you, your followers, and I was like super pumped that I had over 100 followers. But this is kind of what I was writing, some of my research stuff. This is Lloyd Kiva-New, who was a fashion designer, a very successful one, Cherokee designer in the 1950s in Scottsdale. But I've cleaned it up a little bit, and this is what Beyond Buckskin looks like today, and I love the idea that it continues to adapt and evolve. But what I do, and I'm so happy that Dustin is actually here. I wasn't expecting that, so he gets to see himself on the big screen. So what I do with Beyond Buckskin is a couple things. First, we do artist interviews, so designer profiles. So you get to learn more about the diversity of contemporary Native fashion designers, from streetwear artists to somebody like, this is Avis O'Brien from the Northwest Coast, who weaves these beautiful accessories with cedar bark. And then somebody like Natalie Waldman, who is Dene from the North Territories, way far north in Canada. In addition to doing artist profiles, and you can then through these interviews learn what the artists think about their own work and what they think about Native fashion in their own words. I also do posts about historical or traditional clothing, and I love this example. This is one of my favorite examples, and it is of a Plains men's warrior shirt from the late 1800s. And what I love about this shirt is that it forces us to think about warriors as also artists and historians, because they painted their personal feats in battle on their shirt. And these personal feats then later would go on to become community histories. And there's two sides to this shirt, on the left and the right. And on the right are images of pipes. And this is the amount of times that he carried a pipe into battle. And it might sound weird to carry a pipe into battle, but a pipe is how we smoke the sacred tobacco, and that's how we communicate with the sacred world. When you are a pipe carrier, you are in charge of the sacred or the spiritual safety of the war party. Pipe carriers were the first ones to go into battle, and oftentimes they carried no weapons. And they were the last to retreat and make sure that the rest of the war party retreated safely. On the left side, you can see these anthropomorphic figures, and they have one leg coming down, and you can see their little foot kicking out. And this is to represent how many times this shirt wearer, how many enemies they killed in battle. And they're represented with only one leg because that means that this person will no longer walk on this earth. This person is dead. And I would love to only talk about the contemporary Native designers, the historical stuff, but I can't because there's stuff like this that keeps popping up. And Adrian can't be the only one who is critiquing this stuff. Adrian can't be the only one talking about this stuff. We need many, many people talking about this stuff. We need many people critiquing it. We need many people thinking about this stuff. So on the left is Jeremy Scott, his collaboration, his collection for Adidas. And he basically ripped off a totem pole by a wood carver of the Northwest Coast. On the top right, Oprah Winfrey and Ralph Lauren. This was during Oprah's final season, and I joined the rest of society in being so sad that she was leaving. But I guess she didn't really go anywhere, so I was like obsessively, I was obsessively watching all of her episodes. It's a really dark time in my life. And in this episode, so this is a formal critique that you can read up on the blog. She is talking to Ralph Lauren, and I see her as this strong, powerful, successful Black woman, and she's just cooing over Ralph Lauren and just, praising him, calling him the epitome of the American dream. This is very problematic because Ralph Lauren has built his empire off of selling the native as they stand in front of one of his teepees. And the problem with that is that if you think about him as the best example of the American dream, it excludes us from that story, from that narrative. It actually turns us into objects that can be sold, commodified, consumed. And then I also do these really fun, well, I think they're fun, posts like 20 signs that you're a Native American inspired hot mess. And these posts, these lighthearted posts, are actually the ones that garner the most kickback. People get really mad at me for, advising that they don't wear crotch feathers. I'm just trying to help you out. There's the crotch feathers in case. And then, of course, our work with Paul Frank, which was so extraordinary and just an anomaly. But I hope that it's not an anomaly. I hope that it serves as a model for future collaborations. So Adrian and I worked intimately with Paul Frank Industries and the 4 designers that were a part of that. So then Beyond Buckskin expanded to include a business side, a boutique side. And that was coming out because in 2011, when this really kicked up with the Urban Outfitters stuff, and I was also joining in that chorus of really going after Urban Outfitters, but I was also saying that instead of buying these native knockoffs, buy the real thing. Buy from Native American designers. And people were like, okay, my readers were like, okay, that's a great idea, but where do we get this stuff? Where do you buy native-made fashion? And there wasn't a place. There was no place that was easily accessible. There was no place to go for that. So I decided to create the space. So I'm now a businesswoman as well. And so the boutique has items, everything from low-end streetwear, very accessible, to high-end couture items that are very expensive. And it was really just this idea of to push Native fashion forward and to create a platform where we can highlight them, celebrate them. So instead of buying something like this, you can then, buy something that's made by a Native American designer. And this is Bethany Yellowtail, who is Crow and Northern Cheyenne from Montana, who collaborated with Matika Wilbur that Adrian talked about to create these limited edition dresses. And what's unique and special about these dresses is that Bethany incorporated Matika's photography to create these fabrics. And so this image is of women from the Northwest Coast in their regalia, and they're dancing on the shore, and they're dancing the canoes back to shore safely. And so she's bringing that in to these garments, and then also doing the beadwork at the top, which is a traditional art form of the Northern Plains. And so we're looking at these ideas of authenticity without buying into stereotypes. And stereotypes continue to be one of the main challenges that we're up against. People expect that Native fashion has to have fringe, it has to have turquoise, it has to have feathers. And yes, some of it does, but not all of it should have to have that in order to be accepted as Native American fashion. Another huge challenge that we have are cheap knockoffs, that's what I like to call them. So Forever 21, Urban Outfitters, H&M, these different major companies that are selling fully beaded bracelets for $1.99. That's just not possible to do unless you are outsourcing, unless you are engaging in unethical labor practices. And so what we're asking people to do is to think of their purchases, wherever you go to spend your money to buy your stuff, to think about that as an investment. Do you want to invest in a company that is outsourcing and creating very problematic situations of labor problems, unethical business, or do you want to purchase from an artist and promote those ideas of creativity, uniqueness, rarity? And then another huge challenge that we have has to do with just industry constraints. No matter who you are, the fashion industry is one of the hardest industries to break into. It requires a lot of money, and it requires a lot of connections. And so one way that we're trying to combat that is by rallying together. So we, at any given time, I'm working with about 50 Native artists and designers so that we can gain greater recognition. And we are getting that recognition. This is an example from a CNN story, taking Native American fashion beyond buckskin and headdresses, and that's really what we want to do, is to take it beyond the stereotypes, beyond that expected. Adrian and I were also included in an article for Elle Canada, which is an extraordinary, I really even 2 years ago, there's no way that I thought that we would ever be recognized in a platform such as that. CBC News Canada continues to support what we do with Beyond Buckskin, so we are this international company. InStyle magazine covered the Paul Frank collaboration, so we continue to do collaborations mostly with Native programs, but also outside of that, because it's important to do that. And we've been able to do more events. So this is from a fashion show held in California last summer. This is Consuelo Pascual, who is Navajo and Mayan. And her ancestors are, these very knowledgeable observers of the sky world. And she takes that, the sky world as an inspiration point, and then she throws it into the future. And she makes these really amazing dresses. And we've also been able to do more photo shoots. We shot our first lookbook. We already shot our second lookbook that should be coming into publication very soon. This is Martin Sensmeyer, who is a Native model, and other things. He's not just a Native model. But he's wearing quill work. So quill work, hair ties, and necklace medallion. And we sell porcupine quill work on the boutique site. This is an artistic practice that predates contact. It predates beadwork. It is one of our most ancient art forms. And when you purchase something like a pair of porcupine quillwork earrings, you are supporting the continuance of those traditional artistic practices. It is something that is unique to Native North America. It's something special here, and I think it should be supported. And then also, awards. The designers, this is Jamie Akuma, who is Lisenyo, and Shoshone Bannock, who got this big, beautiful blue ribbon at an art fair. So it's great that fashion is being celebrated, recognized, and awarded. Now, just for some concluding points, by being able to create a blog, I was able to reach a broader international audience, and I was able to educate about the history of Native American adornment practices, share the stories and experiences of contemporary Indigenous designers, and to critique and discuss Native appropriations in the fashion industry. I was also able to create and provide a space for people of all backgrounds to easily access and purchase Native-made items, and thereby invest in our Indigenous artists and a different way of understanding the possibilities of the fashion industry. Now, this next point is very emotional for me, so hang in there. When Beyond Buckskin launched in 2009, there was no one critiquing Native stereotypes in fashion. There were scholars critiquing stereotypes in film and mascots, but not in fashion. Okay, hold on. Holding it together. When Adrian launched Native Appropriations, I was relieved because I wasn't alone. I could become more vocal and not be alone. There's a traditional story, a metaphor for what we are experiencing right now, that a friend told me about a field of grass, a beautiful prairie of grasslands. And one blade of grass grew taller than the rest. When we stand up and make strong statements supporting our communities, we are the one, like the ones on this panel, we are like that blade of grass. The problem with being like that blade of grass is that the wind hits you harder. You are not protected. You can and will be singled out for attack. But when we all rise up together, that is a very powerful thing, an immensely powerful thing, especially for a community like ours where we've been silenced and we continue to be told that our perspectives are not valuable. So I want to thank the organizers of this event tonight because it is very important, and thank you guys for coming out and listening to us and supporting us. Thank you.